this is Nancy Gamso. I have several videos on YouTube and on my website that deal with various aspects of flute and clarinet playing. This particular video is describing what the clarinetist needs to do when faced with descending intervals in the clarion register. The reference to this is on my website when I'm discussing how to prepare the Clare-Grundman bagatelles. In the middle section of this, the first clarinet player must do some descending intervals. And if not done properly, then the problem is those intervals will crack up to the next partial. So let's take a look at that problem just for a minute and learn how to solve that problem and some practice tips on how to get there. So the interval in question is this one at letter F. So those very large intervals can easily crack. The partials for the first two are actually the same as the first note. And this one is a little different. So if you did nothing to adjust your embouchure on your airstream, then that's what would happen for those intervals. So the solution to this is to think of breaking the airstream a little, just giving it a little bit of a breath accent as you go to the second note. And what it does is breaks the air column just a split second and lets the note re-establish itself at that lower interval. So I'll do it in slow motion. So that small break in the airstream becomes just a split second. Until you hardly hear it in performance, but the clarinetist knows that will help make that interval happen. It's probably very similar physically in the physics of it as what happens when a bassoonist uses a flick fingering doing an ascending interval or a descending interval. And so this often happens in the clarion register of the clarinet. So to get there, a way to practice that is to start intervals at a half step and then make wider intervals until you reach a full octave. So let's start, for example, on high C, down a half step, back to the high C, down a whole step, etc. Etc. So just carefully, right before the note, a little bit of a with the airstream. So to summarize, these large intervals, descending intervals in the clarion register of the clarinet, we use a small ha breath to interrupt the airstream without disturbing the musical line, and we get there by practicing intervals, small intervals to larger intervals, and finding that coordination between fingers and air. If you'd like to learn more about the clarinet and the flute and hear some chamber music and download some complete versions and music -1 versions of some of the flute and clarinet trios and quartets, be sure to go to my website, Nancy Gamso, that's NancyGamso.com, or join my Facebook page, musician page there, and you'll find some more information about that and much more. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.